Welcome to the Do Good X podcast, a sanctuary from the entrepreneurial grind. Hosts Kimberly Danielle and Stephen Lewis, advocates for impactful entrepreneurship, guide you on the path where purpose meets business. Join us to slow down, reconnect, and explore the challenges of under-resourced entrepreneurs, uncovering the unique journey of building businesses that make a difference. Now, your host.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Do Good X podcast. My name is Kimberly Danielle, and I am a community builder, a communication strategist, and a coach who comes from generations of faith-driven leaders and entrepreneurs that believe our purpose is driven and should be driven by contributing to the common good. And I am here with my wonderful co-host, Stephen. Hey, Stephen.
Hey, Kimberly. How are you?
I'm doing well on today. You know, I'm stumbling over my words today, you all, but I am here and I look forward to this episode with you, Stephen.
I look forward to this episode as you as well. As you know, I am a community builder and I've been working with entrepreneurs for over 2 decades, really trying to help them to live and lead their lives on purpose. And so I'm delighted to get into this conversation today with you.
So what are we going to be chatting about today? Tell the good people what we're diving into.
Well, over the next few episodes, we'll be focused on something that's essential for our journey, which is community. And this isn't the first time that we've chatted about this, and it won't be the last. Entrepreneurship is not meant to be a solo sport or an act. And today, we're exploring what happens when under-resourced entrepreneurs step into the space where healing is possible, accountability is shared, and support isn't transactional, but it's sacred. So I want to talk a little bit about an impactful moment where community has made a difference in my lives. I wear many hats, and so for those of you who may not know, during the pandemic, I pursued apprenticeship into spiritual herbalism. And it's with a woman by the name of Karen Rose, and her apothecary is called Sacred Vibes Apothecary. And she has been working with leaders in communities across the globe to build a healer in every home. And so I was curious about this work, and particularly as I think about, in my own family, old wives' tales, when you have a cough or a cold and, your loved ones tell you to drink this or eat this and that type of thing, really trying to understand the medicinal qualities around that. Well, this community celebrates 16 years of curating, working with, and building a community of more than 1,000 healers that is a healer in their respective communities. And so I have the great privilege of being a part of this community. And what I see in this work is people who are developing their own healing practice or businesses, and the ways in which they have really leaned on this community to support them, but also to give back to this community in ways that has been really important for folks who are really trying to think about the ways in which they bring healing not only to their homes and to their families, but to their larger community as a whole. And so I just love this community because it's a community of kind of healing entrepreneurs that are actually developing really important naturopathic complements to the healthcare industry, particularly when people do not always feel like they get what they need, or they don't always feel that the healthcare practitioners are looking out in their best interests. And so they're finding ways in which they're working with herbalists and doctors, community healers, and those who do the kind of personal medicine within one's household. And so what I've noticed in that community is it really has provided the kind of care, not just for the individual, but for their lives, their whole lives. And not just their whole lives, but even their context, their community, their family in which they live in. And I just feel so fortunate and blessed to have an opportunity to be a part of this community, because what I notice in this community is their ability to tend to the whole person, to create a space where people feel seen and heard, but more importantly, that they actually can find the kind of solutions to help them on their own kind of healing and wellness journey. And I just think that's a beautiful thing because you know what? Your health is your wealth. And I believe that, the degree in which we're able to attend to our health increases our abilities to be the kind of entrepreneurs that we're called to be in the world. And I think that this community of Sacred Vibes is one that really has figured out like the core kind of right things that actually helps people feel a sense of love, a sense of community, a sense of accountability, and really knowing that, we got each other's backs, even as we continue to do our work in our own respective communities. So that's what I would say when I think about a community that has been really important in my life and the ways in which it has contributed not to my life, but the lives of my families, the lives to the broader ripple effect into the community as a whole.
Yeah, I've heard you share, some stories with me on how powerful that community has been in showing up for one another, in that sacred space is what it is, a sacred space. And so just hearing some of your own stories and in your journey in that community has been quite powerful. I'm wondering, you may have mentioned some of this in what you just shared, but I'm wondering, what are the ingredients of a community that truly provides healing and soul care for entrepreneurs? What you shared around Sacred Vibes is an example, but what are those key ingredients that create a community like this?
Yeah, I think it is a community of alignment, where people are looking for their tribe, looking for their people. And I think in this particular community, what they have figured out is that people who want to be engaged in this kind of work and who feel some kind of ancestral call to reconnect with what their foreparents have done, that this is a space for you if you want to be a part of it. So there's this type of alignment with the sense of mission. I think the other ingredients are a sense of belonging. Like, people feel like they belong to something that is bigger than themselves, but it is a community that feels like it is its own sense of belonging to the larger communities in which they're embedded in, has a sense of purpose. So that kind of idea that, I feel like I belong to this group, which is slightly different from like finding my people, right? Like finding your people is about kind of, I like these folks, I'm aligned with it, but there's a whole nother thing where I actually feel welcomed and I feel like I'm a part of a larger cause that's greater than me. And I think, maybe that sense of belonging may feel like, a sense of purpose. Like I have some role or some opportunity to actually contribute to this community by way of what I'm doing in my respective community. I think the other thing too is what I would say is that communities like this that is engaging kind of soul care, they really have an invested interest in the whole person. So not just what's going on with you, not just, this issue or that issue, but really recognizing that you are a whole person when you show up in the businesses that you're trying to create and the work you're trying to do in the world. And so I think they do a really good job of actually seeing the whole person into deeper expression. And then, finally, I'll just stop and say that, that I think what this community does is they give back to the respective community in terms of sharing their ideas, or it's a community where people can actually say, hey, I got this issue. Can somebody help me with X? Or, hey, I got a question about this thing that I'm doing. Could I get feedback on why? And so it's a community where I think people actually feel like they're contributing, but they also can collectively problem solve around the different things that come up with them in their respective work or entrepreneurial endeavor. And I think those are the kinds of things that are kind of baseline important to really building a kind of stickiness within the kind of community that really cares to the whole individual and their soul.
Yeah, that's good. So entrepreneurs, what I'm thinking about is, any entrepreneur, this is a specific community that you shared about from your experience, Stephen. Yeah. And for any entrepreneur, especially what I've seen in Do Get X, we all desire, entrepreneurs, you founders desire a space for belonging, the spaces of alignment. And like you said, Stephen, it's not just about finding your people. It's about aligning with a deeper sense of purpose. I'm connected with this community who is aligned with something that's bigger than just us. And also these communities where entrepreneurs can be seen, heard as a whole person and not just your business. Because I've heard many founders who have shown up to networking events or other types of gatherings that seemingly create community, but they have to leave certain aspects of themselves outside of that space to just show up as an entrepreneur or founder solely talking about business. But we want to show up as our whole selves. And then I heard you, Stephen, talk about this sense of reciprocity. Like, we're not there to just extract. We're not there to pull from people, showing up for us. It's about showing up for others as well. So as you all are listening in, my hope is that you're taking notes on what to kind of look for in community, even if you're creating that community yourself. Like, this is a baseline to truly have the sacred space, because it's hard. It's hard out there. It's hard, especially in a time such as this. And entrepreneurship can take a toll on your emotional, your spiritual, and your mental health. And so having a community like this who gets it and holds space in ways that you are seen, heard, and cared for is so valuable. I want to kind of pivot a little bit and talk about accountability in a community, because that is so important as well. That's another aspect of community that is valuable, that can be very valuable. And this accountability is a way where you can have some momentum in your business, because you have people calling you out. It can help to drive your progress. Now, I know some of y'all out there don't want to be called out. I don't want to be called out sometimes, but it's being called out and held accountable to what it is that we say we're going to do that can truly be beneficial to the trajectory of your work and your business. I think about, we have Do Get X, we hold monthly calls with our alums. And recently, the most recent one, there was one alum that shared what her intention is for the next 30 days. And I said, okay, I can't wait to check in 30 days and see what progress you've made. And she's like, oof, I don't know if I want to show up for that one. I said, if you don't show up, I know that you did not do what it is that you said you're going to do. But I'm confident that she's going to show up. But yes, it can help to drive you to get those things done, meet your goals, meet your intentions. And then there's that sense of encouragement in the accountability. Oh, you're having a challenge? You can still do it, because I've seen you do X, Y, Z. And it can lift you up and be a reminder that you are capable. You are more than capable. So there's so much power in that. And in building a level of accountability in this community, it can help to create positive habits that you can take on and use, not just within your business, but your personal life. There's that sense, again, what Stephen mentioned around reciprocity, that mutual growth, and providing a space where you can be vulnerable and, again, show up as your whole self. But I'm naming all of this because at the end of the day, community has those ingredients that you mentioned, Stephen, and it also provides a space where we can be held accountable, and which can truly support our leadership, our growth as an entrepreneur, and our businesses. Now, what might this look like? So, Stephen, you gave one example, and you might have others that you want to share. It can also look like masterminds. I know some folks who are part of masterminds, and it has been incredible for their journey with entrepreneurs that are around their same stage and entrepreneurs that are in later stages or in earlier stages, having that mix. This might just be some peer check-ins, text messages, phone calls, video chats, whatever that might be. When we finish our spring startup accelerator for Do Get X, everyone looked at each other. This is virtual. And they're like, man, I don't want this to end. We got to continue to check in with one another beyond just, the space that Do Get X holds for them. Stephen, sometimes you hold me accountable. Look, that's an example right there. Got my co-host. But accountability is so powerful and important, an important aspect of community. That sacred space is such an important aspect of community. But I'll stop there, Stephen. Is there anything that you would want to add?
Yeah, I mean, I think community doesn't happen automatically or on its own. And it's a two-way street, like it's a give and take. A lot of people want community, but the question, always is, so what do I bring to the community? How am I helping to shape that community? How do I create something that will help me kind of move forward in the direction that I want to move in? So it's a give and take. It requires not only just receiving, but it also giving of yourself to a larger, to something bigger than yourselves, a group of people bigger than yourselves who's working on similar things. And so that community piece is really important. I think when you think about the accountability, even communities need accountability. So not just kind of accountability for your own respective work, but how do we give an account how the community is providing and the community is welcoming what I bring to the table and supporting it and building it and evolving it over time. And I think, people will enter into these communities at different seasons of their life. But I think, that accountability is really important to kind of move the needle on your respective projects. And communities is an important way in which you do that. And particularly when I'm thinking about Kimberly, it's like we have all types of ideas and we have all different kinds of elements or issues that come up with our business. Oftentimes I think people fail to always remember we have so many things that are vying for our attention. How do we make sure that we are always focusing on the most important thing at the moment that actually helps us move forward? And sometimes it's difficult to do that when you have multiple right things or multiple good things that you need to focus on. A community can help you then figure out what do you need to prioritize. In this moment, at this time, maybe it's not your business. Maybe it's something that's going on in your personal life. Maybe it is you yourself in terms of just having rest or whatever. It's good to have a group of people that can mirror back to you and also be your cheerleader to say, hey, you got this. We got this. We're in this together. And yes, I know you got to meet this deadline. You got to meet this particular application. You got to meet this particular meeting that you actually need to do. But in this moment, sometimes the advice is let's just pause and breathe. To just breathe and know that you have people that are here to witness the fullness of who you are and to know that, look, tomorrow will take care of itself. Later will take care of itself. Sometimes what you just need people to do is to be present with you in this moment and to figure out then what it is that you actually need to accomplish in order to move forward. But in all, what I think, that when you have that type of community, what you then know is that you got people who will ask you to give an account, not just of your activity and your things, but to give an account of your personhood. Are you being who you say you want to be? Did you do with the things that you said you want to do? Realizing that we all can give explanations for why we didn't or why we shouldn't or couldn't or why we did accomplish something. But our explanations are not always the more deeper kind of excuse about why we need to do a thing or why we were unable to do a thing. And so people can help us really discern where we need to focus, but also to help us realize that our activities are not us. And even in our entrepreneur endeavors, when we have so much that are vying for our attention, sometimes we need others who can help us think about where do we prioritize? What is the first thing that we need to be focused on? Or what is the most important pressing thing that we actually need to give our attention to? And I think that is the beauty of what a community or comrades in the work can help you do. It can help you accelerate your business in ways that you didn't even imagine. And I think that's what we're trying to communicate here about what, the really valuable lessons that we know that what community can actually offer to actually accelerate your work. There's an old African saying that says, if you want to go quick, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. Entrepreneurship is not meant to be a solo sport, but if we do it with others and team, because that which we are called to do and activate in the world has to be bigger than our own lives, our own selves, our own particularity in terms of what it is that we want to accomplish. It has to be bigger than that. And for it to be bigger than that means we have to be able to share a little bit more of our time and ourselves and our vision with people who will walk alongside us, who are working on similar things and that can speak into the importance and the value of our work, but also the value of our role in our entrepreneurial endeavors. So what do you think about that?
Yeah, I think that's good. And for you all who are listening in, this may mean you joining a community that already exists, or this might mean that you start a community or you gather and identify people that you're already connected to that you want to go more deeper with in community together to hold space for one another and to travel together on this entrepreneurial journey. Because again, as Stephen said, we go further when we go together. And so, just keep that in mind and remember that you don't have to build alone. Whether it's a peer that checks in on your progress, whether it's a sacred space that you can join and just simply be, community can be a lifeline for you and for other entrepreneurs. So I invite you, if you're not already connected to a community of support, to find that and to do that. And if today's episode resonated with you, we want to encourage you to go to dogoodx.org because we are also providing a space where you do not have to be alone. And we provide resources to support you on the journey. So join the Do Good X LinkedIn group where there are other folks just like you, and we can be in community together as we walk alongside people who just get it. They get it because they are on a similar path. So we hope that you join us again next time. And until then, be well and do good.
Thank you for listening to the Do Good X podcast. To continue the conversation or access our resources, visit www.dogoodx.org. Join us again for conversations that will nourish your soul, ignite your dreams, and empower you to build an impactful business, one intentional step at a time. Until then, keep striving, thriving, and doing good.